Okay, today we're speaking with Davey Carlos. Of course, Davey, you're the drummer from the Cheap Trick tribute band Cheapest Trick. You guys are based out of the LA area, is that correct?
Yeah, we're mostly out of Long Beach. That's where we rehearse, but we're all from the surrounding area.
Okay, and how long have you guys been around?
Well, we started our adventure in April of 2013, and we were already performing as a cover band. Together, we all discussed the tribute project, but we never really had 100% buy-in. But we definitely knew we wanted to expand opportunities and bring a really big, huge show into our performance.
And so, talk a little bit about, you were mentioning before Cheapest Trick, you guys were doing covers. So, for our listeners, could you explain what's the difference to you between a cover band and a tribute band?
With our cover project, we typically will adapt to our audience, and depending on what the event is, we might bring harder rock or more dance music. So that's more like an adapting to the audience. And to me, the tribute project is one where you're trying to recreate the authenticity of the original band and bring their hits and music and idiosyncrasies of their personality out through the music. So with Cheap Trick specifically, we all thought it was the perfect project for us because, number one, our lead singer, Jordan, he plays Robin Zander, or Robin Zoolander in our band. He was nailing all the Cheap Trick songs, and he just had the perfect voice for it. So that really kind of led us in that direction, along with the fact that the music's real upbeat and high energy and just a ton of fun for everybody to play.
And are you kind of surprised that there's not more Cheap Trick tributes around? I mean, there's like maybe 2 or 3 others that I'm aware of, but there's not as many as you'd think.
Yeah, Jason, that was another factor that we had to consider, too, that, there's a lot of tribute bands by popular bands, and the market's kind of saturated. But when we did our research into Cheap Trick and Cheapest Trick, there was only a couple, and they didn't look like they were very busy. And, and I'm sure they're probably good, but we thought we could bring it over the top and do better than anybody else out there, and that was kind of what our goal was and our passion was. So we did a lot of homework and research, and we just thought it was a great project and a good band for us.
And let me ask, Dave, because I seen you guys when you played the Gas Lamp in Long Beach not too long ago, and I gotta tell people who've never seen your band, you guys are really dead on. I mean, you all got the look down, and you shut your eyes for a minute, you'd swear it's a real Cheap Trick. How important was that for you guys to, look the part as much as getting the songs and everything down?
Well, we all think it's probably the entire package. First of all, you have to be top-notch musicians to be able to pull off, playing the 12-string bass and those triplet fills of the left-handed Bunny Carlos and the singing of Robin Zander with that gritty style, and of course Rick Nielsen's loose and crazy style. You got to be a good musician to pull that off. But it's just over-the-top fun to be able to dress up like them and research them and act like them and do their little things that they do and bring it every single performance. And that's what's really the best thing about being in a Cheap Trick tribute band is that when you're in a cover project, you got to kind of like not be too crazy. But when you're in Cheap Trick, man, you can go crazy. You can't really hold back. You got to just bring it every single song, play loud, play hard, sweat, bring the energy, bring the passion, and make every single note count. So that's a really important thing. Sound like them, look like them, have fun, and make sure that you can present that energy to the audience.
I mean, you guys, you really got it down as far as, the look. I mean, if people haven't seen your show, I guess if they get a chance, go check it out, because anybody that's a fan of, like, Cheap Trick from back, 1978 era, Dream Police, you guys even got the Dream Police hat and all that and the outfits, and you really look the part. I mean, I was impressed, I gotta say that.
Oh, thanks, Jason. And that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to like we're fans of Cheap Trick, and we want everyone else that appreciates that music to have a great show, when we're doing the show. And in addition to, looking and sounding the parts, our bass player, for example, his name's Sammy Burt, he mastered that 12-string bass, and that 12-string bass is something that Tom Peterson from Cheap Trick invented. So, Sammy learned it, nailed it. Ernie Zahn, who plays Nick Rielson in our band, he told me that Cheap Trick was one of his first concerts that he ever saw, and ever since then he's been in love with the band. And Robin Zoolander or Jordan, same thing. He's got a passion for Cheap Trick. So it's just kind of awesome that we all love that music, and we're able to figure out that's what we should be playing, and here we are playing it, and we're just having a blast. And what's really cool is it's taken off. We're by word of mouth, for example, by you and other people that have seen us. They're spreading the word that, hey, these guys are trying hard and they're sounding good, and it's a fun show. And we're starting to get a lot of gigs and a lot of people, and our Facebook page is taking off, and it's just a blast. We're having a good time.
And I got to tell, another thing I loved about your show when I seen you guys was, besides just playing all the classic hits and the radio hits, you play some of the deep cuts. Like one of my favorite tracks you guys did when I seen you was "My Baby Loves to Rock," and that was a hit back in the '80s, but it's not as well known as, say, "Surrender" or "Dream Police" or more of a classic tunes.
Yeah, Cheap Trick has a broad library of music, everything from slow and gritty Led Zeppelin-ish stuff to 50s bebop and pop and everything in between. So, we get to play some of those deep cuts that, and we love it. That's part of the appeal of Cheap Trick is that they blast those 50s tunes like they were written yesterday, and they do the pop stuff like Dream Police with the symphony orchestra. And, it's just so broad and such a wide appeal and such a huge audience that likes all that kind of stuff. So, we bring out the deep cuts. We bring stuff. What we really try to do is bring a lot of the live feel. Like a lot of people will listen to Cheap Trick on an album and say, oh, that's an okay song, but until you see them perform it live or hear it live, for example, Cheap Trick at Budokan, you're like, wow, that song's over the top. And the original version of Surrender or I Want You to Want Me on the records, the studio cuts, they're a little timid. They're still great, but when you hear them live, it's like, oh my gosh, the energy and the audience interaction and what else they add to the songs as far as introductions and solos is just it's pretty fun. So that's what we're trying to do, get that live energy and the deep cuts and the things that the fans will love, and the hardcore fans will say, wow, you guys played that song, that's awesome. So we like it. It's good stuff.
And interesting enough, you were bringing up the song I Want You to Want Me. Interestingly enough, anybody's ever heard that original studio version of it, it sounds nothing like the version that most people have heard, which is the live version off of Budokan. I mean, the original studio version almost got like a country feel, a bit of a more twangy sound than the live version, which is kind of interesting. It almost gave it a new life.
Yeah, you're right. And I would guarantee that if it wasn't for the live version, that song wouldn't have had the life or recognition that it does now. It was mediocre at best.
Yeah.
I'm not trying to say anything bad about the recording. There's probably a number of things that contributed to that, but the live performance is the one with all the screaming and the people at Budokan just loving the song and the energy. That energy doesn't translate oftentimes in the studio, and the live stuff. That's what's great about Cheap Trick. They all their live songs are they just translate well. They're not fake. They just sound real and energetic, and it's true rock and roll. So I think live is where it's at for Cheap Trick.
And I think another thing you guys got going for yourself is even while Cheap Trick, the Cheap Trick band is still around touring and recording. It's no longer the original band. It's only 3 of the original members. So I was going to ask, what do you think about them continuing to tour and that without Bunny Carlos?
Well, I think all the Cheap Trick fans would love Bunny Carlos, and but there's evidently some political stuff or health issues or something going on with Bunny and the band, and gosh, it would be my guess that it's just touring, the rigors of touring, takes its toll, especially on drummers, with tendonitis and things like that. So I think that what I learned was that Robin and the other members in the band really wanted to tour, and Bunny probably didn't want to do it as much. So I think that they just adapted, and luckily they've got someone playing drums now that's a family member. It's
I think Rick Nielsen's son.
Yeah, Rick Nielsen's son. So that kind of helps. But gosh, we all love Bunny, and we've even talked about, hey, who should you emulate? And I said, oh, without a doubt, Bunny. That's who everyone recognizes. That's the household name that people will throw out there. Most people don't even know the new drummer.
Yeah, exactly.
So,
yeah.
It's all about Bunny. He's the one with the personality and the glasses and the cigarette and the old 50s Ludwig drums, and his style is kind of what everyone recognizes. So to answer your question, it's all about Bunny and no one else. So the band's got to go on, I suppose, but I think most fans still appreciate Bunny.
And let me ask you, going back in time, could you share with us how you first became a Cheap Trick fan and got into their music?
Am I what? I'm sorry?
Could you just share with us how you first became a Cheap Trick fan and got into their music?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I grew up in Washington State, and I think I started playing drums in 3rd or 5th grade, and I remember I had like a practice pad, and I graduated to the snare drum, and I remember setting up books, and and $4, and using the highest one's the snare drum, and playing the music, and I think I had Cheap Trick at Budokan, and when Dream Police came out, I think I bought it from that online record store, Capitol Records or something. I remember typing in my name and making a label on some other junk mail so that I could get into that Columbia Records thing, and I got that Dream Police album, and I would listen to that thing over and over. But one of the real easy drum beats on there, it's not easy now that I'm a seasoned drummer. I can hear all the subtleties of it. But back then, I was playing over and over to Gunna Ray's Hell, and it was just a real steady 4, down on the 4 bass drum, 2/4 beat on the hi-hat, locked in, and I played that over and over. I think the song's like 12 or 13 minutes long. I'm not sure exactly, but it's a long song. I would play it like 3 times in a row and just lock in that beat, and I was loving it. And it was it's just kind of ironic now that I've been a musician for decades, and I'm playing that music that I first learned and loved, and play to my old blues years.
And so, talking a little bit about
Beatles drum set.
Yeah, talking a little bit about Bunny Carlos. When most people think of drummers, they cite guys like Neil Peart, Alex Van Halen, Tommy Lee. Why do you think he's never really got the recognition that he deserves?
Well, I think he gets recognition, but the music business is just strange. When you think about, I love all those drummers too. I love jazz drummers and all the classic rock drummers, but you got to find your niche with the band. Like Lars Ulrich is perfect for Metallica, Neil Peart is perfect for Rush, and if they change their styles, then that band might not be as successful as they were. And, one thing I kind of talk about is like Phil Rudd, the drummer for AC/DC. That guy's solid. He's playing, blues, rock for that band, and they're one of the most successful bands of all time that probably sold millions of more records than Rush, and I'm a huge fan of Rush, but if Phil Rudd was to change his style, it might impede, AC/DC's mission and, the sound that they're trying to get in their marketability to their audience. So, getting back to Bunny Carlos, I think his drumming was perfect for that band, that 50-ish kind of reminiscent of Ringo Starr, old school drumming. That's kind of what made Cheap Trick popular in their sound. So to answer his question about his popularity, I think that the style that band needed wasn't really conducive to making the drummer popular, but it was conducive to making Cheap Trick popular and their music popular. So I think he filled the niche and filled the need for
what they did.
Cheap Trick needed. So I think he was perfect for that job, and they sold millions of albums, and they made a career out of it. So I guess they got to do what they got to do to make their music sellable, I suppose.
And I was curious. This may be a hard question to answer, but do you have a favorite Cheap Trick album? One of their albums that you just really are always listening to?
Yes, Budokan and Dream Police.
Oh, okay.
And those are the two that I mentioned earlier, but they came out in close proximity to each other.
Yeah.
I think that they were just on the way up, and Dream Police to me was the pinnacle, and they were at the height of their popularity, and I love the drums on both those albums, and those are two of my favorites. And the guys in Cheapest Trick, they like all of it. They like all the stuff. They like a lot of the older stuff too, but I wasn't as familiar with that stuff, so yeah, but those are my two favorites. I love the drumming on them. I love the studio work that they did on Dream Police. I think they spent a lot of time and energy on it, and it's evident in the recordings. They sound awesome.
So let me ask you, as far as when you guys do a show and it comes time to picking a set list, do you guys pretty much play the same set list all the time? You mix it up, or how do you go about doing that?
Gosh, we have probably enough music to play a 2-hour show.
Uh-huh.
But depending on the venue and what we're doing, we come to find out a lot of times we're only playing an hour or a little bit over an hour. And I think with that in mind, we've got to play to the audience, and we've got to hit the songs that are popular. Then after that, we'll slide in a couple, of the deep cuts like you were talking about, Jason. And gosh, there's some songs on there that we want to play that are just so long, like Need Your Love and Gonna Raise Hell, that we don't get to play that stuff as much as we'd like to. But yeah, we've got to tailor our set list to the audience, and hopefully when we're really popular and we're people are coming to see us and only us and want to see us for 2 hours, we'll be able to bring out all that stuff and have a formula where we play one hit for every two B-sides or deep cuts, and keep the audience engaged, but get some of that other stuff in there too. So yeah, we're looking forward to that. And yeah, to answer your question, we've got to play the audience in our time frame that we've got, which is typically around an hour. So we've got to play all the hits and maybe a couple deep cuts, and that's about it.
And as far as rehearsing, like before you guys play a show or something, do you rehearse a few days in advance, or do you at the point pretty much where you pretty much have mastered all the material?
Well, being a musician is a perishable skill, and when you've got hundreds of songs in your head that you know between a tribute band and a cover band, it's always good for us to get together and rehearse. We have a show coming up in about 5 days, so we rehearsed yesterday. That'll be the last time we rehearsed before the show. We went through the set list, we timed it, we made sure that we got all the songs in without going too long, and that seems to work. We don't want to play like a day before a gig and get tired and fatigued and have a voice go out. So a few days before, 3 or 4 or 5 is perfect, and that's kind of like how we do it. Now that we've got the songs down, it's just a matter of getting refreshed and working through a couple things that we learned from our last gig that we could improve on, and that's kind of the formula we go with.
That's cool. And I imagine being a Cheap Trick tribute that you guys also allows you the ability to play with various different styles of bands, because like you're saying, Cheap Trick themselves, they have very melodic stuff, they have very hard rock type stuff, and everything in between.
Yeah, that's one of the things that's fun about being in this tribute project is that Cheap Trick's played with dozens of different bands over the years. As a matter of fact, they opened up for Rush for a long time. They opened up for Kiss for a long time. And it was almost like a double billing instead of really an opening, but they were the ones that got the audience going for the other bands. So we get to partner with a bunch of other bands from that era, and we try to consider that when we're booking shows, and try to get like music for a like audience where people can kind of relive the past. And relive those concerts that they saw and listen to the music that they heard on the radio. And the music industry is changing a lot, and it's rare that people even buy entire albums anymore. But when you and I were young, we bought a whole album. We learned the whole thing. We played it over and over and over with the repeat bar, lifted up. So we just go from end to beginning until we got burned out and or wanted to hear our next favorite album. So we take all that into consideration, our audience, other bands they played with, and what we think the audience would like to hear as far as getting bands together for a show.
And let me ask you, Davey, like a lot of these tribute bands I've interviewed, I was curious, do you guys have somebody that manages you and helps you to book your shows, or does the band pretty much do all that?
We've only been together since with this project since April, less than a year. Mm-hmm. So we're reaching out. We've had people contact us regarding shows, and as far as the band's concerned, we just want to perform and have fun. It's mostly about having fun, and if the right person came along or the right management company came along, we'd consider it. But gosh, there's just so many venues and so many people out there that we're open to anything at this time. So we're not hitting the pavement hard looking for management, but we'll consider it. Yeah. And we just want to have fun and play for the audience. And for example, you, Jason, you loved it when you came to the show. And that's what we want to do. We want to have a guy that says, hey, you know what, next time they're around, I'm going to see them. And as a matter of fact, I might bring a couple friends because they're that good. So that's what we're trying to do right now.
Exactly. Part of the reason I'm put this project together where I'm interviewing different tribute bands is because a lot of people have a misconception, tribute bands are just, full of guys that are failed musicians, can never make it in an original act. But I've seen plenty of these tribute bands to tell people that if you get the right group of people together and they've got the talent and stuff, you'd be amazed at the talent that are in these tribute bands, because I've seen plenty of them. Like I'll never forget seeing Hollywood Roses, which is a Guns N' Roses tribute based out of Hollywood, and first time I seen them, the guy he looked just like Axl Rose. You'd swear it was Guns N' Roses 1980s. I'm looking at the band, I'd swear it was Slash and Axl. And you're never going to probably see Slash and Axl on stage ever again, but that's as close as you're going to get. And if you get a tribute band that's that good, they're going to give their audience, much like what you guys did when I came to see you, a magical experience, a magical night to remember, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, that's, again, what we're trying to accomplish, and that's what I like to see when I go see a tribute band. I want to, be entertained. I want to have the memories come back. I want to buy in that they're almost like the original band. And I'm a fan of music too. So are the guys in Cheapest Trick, and we love seeing other bands that have the passion, that are committed, that do justice to the original band. It's almost like you've got to be over the top and better than the original band sometimes, because if you're not paying justice to the original band musically or appearance-wise or personality-wise, then you're not doing a good job. And I think that tribute bands are the first ones to critique each other and let each other know that, hey, that was good, or that sucked, or I don't think we'd really say that sucked, but we maybe throw it to the side. We say, gosh, they were not as good as they could have been. But for the most part, the bands that we work with, we've been blown away by the other tribute projects, and their attempts at paying tribute and homage to the original bands, and it's just fun, and it's just kind of cool that music's allowed us to have these opportunities. A lot of for example, Cheapest Trick, we're all guys that have other careers, and some of us have families, and this is probably the closest we'll ever get to being on tour or world famous, and it's just fun. It's just a kick in the pants, and we're loving it, and we're glad that audience members and fans are liking it too, and we're all buying into it. You're buying into it, other people are buying into it, and it's just fun. And people that are belittling it or maybe talking smack about it, I think they just need to find a band that they love, and a good band that is passionate about paying tribute properly, and that might convince them that, hey, this was fun, and we had a great time. So That's what they should probably do.
And see,
Look
yeah.
Look at it with a good attitude, you know.
I think what you guys are doing, like you're smart in doing the Cheap Trick thing because, again, like I tell people, for example, there's thousands of Led Zeppelin tributes out there, and so first of all, if you're going to do Led Zeppelin or something like that, you got to really, you got to be able to really stand out from all the rest. You got to have something special, to offer. Whereas, like I said, with Cheap Trick, there's not a lot of Cheap Trick tributes, especially, in the LA area here, and so you guys got that, little niche, and then, even though Cheap Trick's still around, they're not touring as massively as they used to. So, again, for somebody that maybe doesn't have $100 to go to see a real Cheap Trick, you guys might be the next best thing.
Yeah, you're right. There's oversaturation with some bands, and that's some of my favorite music too. I love Led Zeppelin, and I went to London to see them in 2007 when they reunited with John Bonham's son Jason, and that's how big of a fan I was. But yeah, there's a lot of good tribute bands for Led Zeppelin, and that's because they're a good band with great music, and I don't think I've even seen a bad one.
Yeah.
But I have seen ones that are better than others. Like I like it when they dress up and try to use the original instruments, and to me that's fun. That's part of the entertaining. Because other than that, it's almost like they're not a tribute; they're just a cover band. And the tribute to me is those guys that are giving the extra commitment, time, and effort, and taking it over the top. And that's what I like to see.
Yeah, I think that's the best way to describe it because, I think the difference between a tribute is, I tell people tribute bands are pure, entertainment. Because a lot of them, like you said, they look the part, they sound like the original band, and to me, you don't get that in a cover band. And so, that's the magic of a tribute band to me.
Right. Yeah, I agree wholeheartedly. That's the guys that do the extra job. It takes a lot of extra work and effort and time and money, but it pays off. It's just in fun alone. Like having that cigarette in my mouth, putting those glasses on and the mustache and the shirt and tie and bringing out that 1970s Sparkle Ludwig drum set. It's like I'm changing. I'm changing into Bunny Carlos, and I'm playing like Bunny Carlos, and I'm like reincarnating Bunny Carlos on stage, and it's fun like I've never had before. And the guys in Cheapest Trick, we all say the same thing. It's like you're going through a change, a metamorphosis, and it's just so much fun. We're loving it.
And I was curious, like after you guys, do a show or something, even when you're in the parking lot, have you ever been mistaken? Anyone ever thought you were really Bunny Carlos?
Do we ever act like we're Bunny Carlos?
No, have you ever because like when I seen you guys, like I said, you guys really dressed the part, and if I didn't know it was a tribute band, I might think you guys were a real band. I was just curious if like you ever, been out in public dressed like that, if anybody ever mistook you for being Bunny Carlos.
It's kind of funny. I played a gig recently, and I wouldn't say they made the mistake of thinking I was Bunny Carlos because I don't really walk around with that on. Usually right after the show, after photo ops or meeting with people, I'll get out of character. I don't really smoke, so it's kind of nice to get the cigarette out of my mouth. But, there was one guy at a recent show where, in between bands, I was kind of walking around, checking my video camera or something like that, and he started yelling "Bunny, Bunny," and it was just kind of surreal for a moment. Like, this guy's living his past, and he's buying off that I'm Bunny Carlos, and that's what I'm trying to do. And it was just fun for that moment. I was like, hey, I'm Bunny Carlos, up close and personal. So I kind of like that. It was kind of a fun deal. But walking around in public, not too much. Don't try to do that too often.
Yeah. Well, let me ask you, like Dave, we were talking. I'm sure a lot of musicians, you start out doing your own original music, but have you been surprised at how successful the Cheapest Trick has been? Doing the tribute thing.
I'm pleased. I'm not surprised. I'm pleased because there's a lot of work that goes into it, and I think that we're still on the way up. as far as building an audience and letting people see is that we've only been together since earlier this year, and gosh, I think that we have the potential of being one of the more popular tribute shows in the Los Angeles area, and we're really looking forward to it. This is something the whole band is committed to, and we work hard at it, and we critique each other. And the guys in the band, gosh, they're all humble, all really good professional guys, and when we get together, we work and we have fun working, and it's we're older now. Everyone's in their 40s, so it's not like kids. Like when you were a kid in the band, your feelings would get hurt, or your ego was at stake or something like that. And now that we're all older, as long as you communicate professionally and have deliver your criticism with tact and compassion, you can move ahead. But it's kind of like getting four guys on a canvas painting the same picture. You've got to be careful what everyone else is doing and give them room, and you've got to consider other people's personalities and how to deliver criticism and feedback appropriately. But yeah, we're having fun, and it's just a lot of work.
What amazes me about the tribute scene is, for example, you got bands like Iron Maiden, which is an all-female Iron Maiden tribute. They're one of the premier LA tributes out here. They're one of the first tribute bands that got started out here, and they've been doing it since the early 90s, and they're at a point in their career where they don't just play all over LA. They in Southern California, they play all over the world. They've done shows for the troops and stuff. And there's another Kiss tribute band, again, an all-female band called Priss. Right now, they're actually one of the opening bands on the Kiss cruise. So there's a lot of opportunities. If you're in a good enough tribute band. I was also talking about Led Zeppelin. I interviewed Swan Montgomery. He's a singer from Led Zeppelin, and he was telling me, he said, Robert Plant actually has caught our show so much to the point that when they did their reunion show in London, the show you were talking about with Jason Bonham, he says he invited me and the whole band to come and be at that show. And I thought, wow, coming from Robert Plant, if that's not an endorsement, I don't know what is.
Yeah, and we're looking forward to playing, especially for the troops. I'd love to go over there and support our men and women that are giving their energy and potentially their lives for our country. I think that's the ultimate, to be able to go over there and do a good show as a tribute and play for the troops. We all love that. And as a matter of fact, that's one of the things that we were talking about. And ironically, in 2007, when I was in London, I was on the same plane as the guys from Led Zeppelin, and I was a big fan of theirs. I'd probably seen them play close to 20 times over the years. I would go out of my way to go catch them, and when I had that extra Led Zeppelin reunion ticket, I sent them an email to see if one of them was interested in going, because my wife wasn't initially interested, and she changed her mind. So when they responded back, I think about a month later, after they realized how hard it was going to be to get tickets to that show, I told them that my wife had changed her mind and we were going, but maybe we'd see him there. And we saw him in the airport, and I run into the guitar player once in a while, and we talk about how great that show was, and I saved all the little shrine memorabilia from that show. But yeah, it was awesome, and again, these tributes that are growing are getting to go to different venues around, the world and the United States and Southern California. And we were on board with that. We wanted to do that, and, we got to still have our regular jobs, but, on the weekend, gosh, we can fly anywhere, or, take our vacation time and fly anywhere. So, yeah, we're looking forward to it. We hope it goes that way.
And, talking about Led Zeppelin, Swan, the singer, he was telling me when I interviewed him for this, he says one thing that he's looking into is they want to do like a Led Zeppelin symphony orchestra show. So he's working on getting something like that together right now, which I think would be totally cool for people to go see.
Yeah, that's over the top. That would be awesome. That's a huge commitment. To get those musicians all their sheet music and rehearse with them, and you probably have to have true Led Zeppelin fans that are into symphonic instruments that would be willing to do it. But even Cheap Trick, they bring a show once in a while where they're playing symphonies and to emulate that someday.
Yeah. And I was gonna ask you, would you guys ever consider doing like Cheap Trick has also done it before, where they'll play like a whole album, in its entirety, which is a new thing a lot of these bands are doing, or something like even playing all of like Live at Budokan from start to finish.
Yeah, we could do that. As a matter of fact, we've learned pretty much the whole Budokan album, and again, it's just a matter of the right venue and the right show. I think when you saw us at the Gaslamp, we were locking in a lot of that show. We probably played about 90% of it. So, we played all the same drum solos and guitar solos and things right off the album and the introductions to the songs. So there was just a couple that we didn't get in, and it was just a matter of time of the venue only giving us a certain amount of time, because we had a couple other good shows there too. But yeah, I think that Budokan's probably the number one album that we would play from beginning to end, and then throw some other songs in there after we do Budokan. But yeah, that's our go-to one, Budokan. I think it was one of their best, most popular albums.
Because I gotta say, you're telling me like the show that I caught you guys doing at the Gaslamp, you're kind of working things out, but what really impressed me is, to me, it looked like you guys really had your stuff down. Like you nailed it. And I gotta say, like as I'm watching the show, I'm thinking to myself, oh, I hope they play Surrender. I hope they play, what's that, Tom Peters? I Know What I Want. You guys hit everything. By the time I left that show, I heard all the songs I wanted to hear and then some. So, I think you guys are on to really something special with this.
Oh yeah, again, it's about the fans, and we're fans, and what I think is, gosh, the guys, they'll know a lot of the deep cuts, but whenever I think, and I don't want to sound sexist or terrible, but when I'm thinking of an audience, I think about, okay, there's a lady that listens to these songs, and we got to play the songs that she wants to hear, the ones that she heard on the radio, and we've also got to play to that guy over there, Jason, who knows those deep cuts, and he was a fan from a long time ago, so we got to hit both those members. So at that Gaslamp, I think we were trying to do that, and I think that we did it, and if we had more time, we could have played more of those deep cuts, but yeah, we're trying to get everybody involved.
I mean, again, to me, just you guys had the perfect set list at that show. I mean, if anybody into like old classic '70s era Cheap Trick, you had something for them. You played something like the Flame even, which people have mixed feelings about. Some people really love the softer stuff like that, and some hate it. But I felt all the songs you had in your set list that night, there was something for everybody, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, and the Flame, gosh, I think that might be their biggest hit of all times. But I never really listened to it or knew it.
Yeah.
And until I got into this band and someone mentioned it, they said, "What?" They said, "The Flame." They said, "Well, play it for me." They played it. I said, "I don't think I know it, but I'm down for it.
Yeah.
Let me learn it." So I was into different music, and but there's a lot of people that like the Flame. The Flame is fun to play.
Yeah.
The timing's got to be right. The groove's got to be right. You got to just kind of have the passion. And Jordan, the singer, nails it. He's the guys in the band are very talented, and to be able to pull off a song like The Flame and then do those 50 songs and the deep cuts, again, it harkens to and they're a huge library of music and style. It's just fun to play.
And I'd like to ask you guys, or ask you about your stage outfits. Are those very expensive, or is that stuff that's easy to find? It's custom made, or?
We made it a responsibility for each guy to get their costumes and outfits and wigs and mustaches and all that paraphernalia. And we would give thumbs of approval if we liked something or made recommendations. And all the guys have really done a good job, I think, in getting it. And I hear them talking about getting new stuff. For example, Robin Zoolander, he gets to, he's got like decades of different costumes and outfits, and he's talking about, getting different stuff all the time. And for example, the bass player, Sammy, he's got two 12-string basses now, and, he's got a bunch of the guitars that Cheap Trick played, and that guy's probably got 30 guitars and basses. It's incredible.
Wow.
So, in addition to the costumes, we've got for example, my drums. I bought that drum set. I didn't want to buy a new drum set. It was a 1970s drum set, same size. I refinished it, polished it up, worked on it for about a month, redid the bearing edges, put some modern hardware on it to make it roadworthy, and that thing looks great. And it's I think Bunny would hop on it in a minute and have a blast playing it. So the instruments are part of it too.
And let me ask,
the amplifiers, everything.
Let me ask, would you guys ever consider, like, I know some of these tribute bands, they record like a live DVD or a CD or put something like that out just for their fan base to get, or do you think that's taking the tribute thing too far?
I like to see our live footage, and show the energy, but to make a DVD from beginning to the end of an album, I don't know. I don't know if that would be paying the tribute or the band justice. We're trying to emulate them, and we don't want to replace them, and we're not them, and we'll never be them. But we just want to, bring people fun and entertainment, and I don't think that we would ever do that personally. I've seen other tribute bands do things like make a CD, of them playing the music of the original band, and gosh, to me, why? I can just go out and buy the original music and go and see the tribute. I don't need to, buy the tribute CD.
I got you.
I don't think we would ever do that. I don't think it would be something that the original band would want us to do.
Yeah.
When I think of the original band and do they like tributes, I think, gosh darn, they should, because it's bringing their music back to the public, and and for example, I bet you, Jason, after you went home after seeing Cheapest Trick, you probably cranked up your iPod player and started playing more Cheap Trick music for a while.
Yeah.
You might even said, "Oh man, I should probably download that one." So you might have even gone, and to iTunes and downloaded a Cheap Trick song or two. So yeah, I think that the band support it. I think it promotes their music, and as far as us doing a CD or an album or something like that, I don't think we would ever do that.
Well, Dave, Davey, it's been great talking to you. Before I let you go, is there anything else you'd like to say? I really...
If you're okay, Jason, I'd like to tell you a little bit about the other band members.
Sure.
What they do, their names. William Jordan, we call him Jordan. He's the lead singer of Cheapest Trick. His stage name is Robin Zoolander.
That's cool.
He plays, and then Ernie Zahn is Cheapest Trick's Nick Rielson.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. He does Rick Nielsen, and he's an excellent lead guitar player, and he really nails it. He really nails it on stage. Sammy Burke performs as Sam Peterson. He's mastered Tom Peterson's 12-string bass, and he's a blast to watch on stage.
Yeah.
And I'm Dave Miranda. I play the part of Davey Carlos, who is Bunny Carlos in the real Cheap Trick band. And we're having a blast, and we hope that people can see us sometime, and we'll try to do our best to make it an entertaining and fun show for people to show up.
And I guess... Go on.
Thanks for the opportunity. It was fun talking to you.
And I guess the last thing I'd like to ask before I let you go is, you're talking about that you guys all have like day jobs out. What do you do for your day job, when you're not playing on stage?
Well, I work for a city, and I'm into PR and stuff like that. I might have some notes here what the guys do, but I know that Ernie, he's a engineer, a computer engineer.
Oh, cool.
Sammy is an administrator for a big school district, and William Jordan owns a safety company where they do everything from approving safety plans and making sure that industries are safe, and so that's the type of work that we all do.
Okay, well, once again, Dave, I'd like to thank you for taking time out of your busy schedule to do this. I really appreciate this.